Last month, Harold walked into my clinic. 74 years old, retired electrician, the kind of man who could still read a wiring diagram without his glasses. But he wasn't sitting in my exam room because he was sick. He was sitting there because 3 weeks earlier, his daughter had taken his car keys. Harold had driven into a mailbox at 8:15 p.m. Nobody was hurt. The mailbox didn't fare so well. But what scared Harold wasn't the damage. What scared him was that he never saw the mailbox until he hit it. He was driving home from his weekly poker game, a route he's driven for 11 years, and the headlights from an oncoming car hit his eyes. For 6 full seconds, Harold told me, he was blind, just black. When his vision came back, the mailbox was already in his bumper. He looked at me and said, "Doc, I don't care if I never drive during the day again, but I want my nights back." That's when I still feel like a grown man. I'm going to tell you exactly what I told Harold, because there is one specific food, one tiny red fruit that most people have never bought in their lives, that targets the exact mechanism behind night vision loss after 60. And the research on this is not old. It's not folk medicine. It's a randomized controlled trial from one of the top eye research centers in the world, published in a peer-reviewed journal, with before and after measurements you can see on a scan. And I'm not going to make you wait through a list of 5 foods to get to it. This whole video is about one food, one mechanism, one protocol. Now, before I tell you what the food is, you need to understand what's actually happening inside your eyes after 60. Because most people think night vision loss is just getting older. It's not. It's a specific, measurable biochemical failure. And if you understand the failure, you'll understand exactly why this food works. Your retina has 2 types of light-sensing cells. Cones, they handle color and detail. They need bright light. And rods, they handle low light, shadows, peripheral vision, and night driving. You have about 120 million rod cells in each eye, and after age 60, they start struggling in a very specific way. Here's what happens. Inside every rod cell, there's a protein called rhodopsin. Think of rhodopsin as the rod cell's light switch. When a photon of light hits it, rhodopsin triggers a signal to your brain that says, "I see something." But that reaction burns up the rhodopsin. It gets used. And for the rod cell to be ready for the next photon, the next headlight, the next shadow on the road, the rhodopsin has to be rebuilt. That rebuilding process is called dark adaptation. In a healthy 30-year-old, it takes about 5 to 7 minutes to fully regenerate rhodopsin after exposure to bright light. By age 65, it can take 20 minutes or more. In some people, it never fully recovers at all. This was documented beautifully in a landmark study published in Vision Research 1999, Jackson and colleagues. They tested dark adaptation across ages and found that the slowdown in rhodopsin regeneration with age is dramatic. Dramatic. Not gradual, not subtle, dramatic. And here's the key. Rhodopsin cannot be rebuilt without 2 specific nutrients. The first is a form of vitamin A called 11-cis retinal. The second is zinc. Zinc is the shuttle that carries vitamin A into the rod cell. Without enough of both, your rods are sitting in the dark, unable to reset, while you're behind the wheel wondering why every oncoming headlight leaves you blind for 10 seconds. This is not eye fatigue. This is not quote-unquote old age. This is a molecular supply chain problem, and it is fixable. Now, if you've been paying attention to senior health content, you've probably heard about lutein and zeaxanthin. These are carotenoids, plant pigments that accumulate in the back of your eye and form what's called macular pigment. Macular pigment is your eye's internal blue light filter. It protects the retina from oxidative damage. And most people know you can get lutein from spinach and kale and egg yolks. But here's what most people don't know, including a lot of doctors. Lutein protects your central vision. Zeaxanthin protects your peripheral and low light vision. And there is one food on this planet that contains more zeaxanthin by a huge margin than anything else you can eat. Not a supplement, not an extract, a whole food that grows on a vine. The food is goji berries. I know, you've seen them in the health food store, in a crinkly bag and walked right past. Maybe you've heard they're a superfood and rolled your eyes. I understand. I'm not here to sell you on trendy berries. I'm here to show you the data. Goji berries contain the highest known concentration of zeaxanthin of any food ever measured. According to a 2022 analysis published in the journal PMC, goji berries contain between 2,800 and 5,400 micrograms of zeaxanthin per gram of dry matter. To put that in perspective, spinach, which everyone tells you to eat for your eyes, contains about 30 to 50 micrograms per gram. Goji berries have roughly 100 times more zeaxanthin per gram than spinach. This is not a small difference. This is an order of magnitude difference. Zeaxanthin is a different molecule than lutein, with a different job. Zeaxanthin concentrates in the peripheral retina, exactly where your rod cells are most dense. It also concentrates in the rod outer segments themselves. It sits there like a microscopic shield, protecting the very cells that determine whether you can see that mailbox in the dark or not. But the data gets better. In 2022, researchers at UC Davis, one of the leading eye research centers in the United States, conducted a randomized controlled trial. They took healthy adults and gave them 28 grams of dried goji berries 5 times a week for 90 days. That's about a small handful, roughly 2 tablespoons. Then they measured their macular pigment optical density, MPOD, which is the gold standard measurement for how well protected your retina is. The results were published in the journal Nutrients 2022. After 90 days, the goji berry group showed a significant increase in MPOD. Significant meaning it was not random, not placebo, not noise. The zeaxanthin from the berries was being deposited directly into the retinal tissue. The protection was measurable on a scan. And here's what matters specifically for night vision. The rod cells that handle your low-light sight rely on exactly this region of the retina. The more zeaxanthin dense your macular pigment, the better your rods are shielded from the oxidative stress that slows rhodopsin regeneration. You're not just eating a berry, you're rebuilding the infrastructure that lets your eyes reset after every headlight. Now I want to be very careful here because I know what some of you are thinking. Dr. David, I've heard about bilberry for night vision. I've heard about carrots. Weren't British pilots in World War II eating bilberry jam to see better at night? This is a fair question, and I want to be honest with you. The bilberry story is largely myth. A systematic review published in the journal Survey of Ophthalmology examined every rigorous clinical trial on bilberry and night vision and found no consistent benefit. None. The anthocyanins in bilberries are good for circulation, yes, but for night vision specifically, the evidence is not there. Carrots give you beta-carotene, which your body converts to vitamin A, and vitamin A is essential for rhodopsin production, yes. But the conversion rate from beta-carotene to active vitamin A is low, especially in older adults. And carrots contain almost no zeaxanthin. Goji berries deliver zeaxanthin directly, in a form your body absorbs efficiently, at doses that produce measurable changes in your retinal tissue in under 3 months. That is what the data shows. Now here's the practical part. How much, when, and how to eat them. The UC Davis study used 28 grams, roughly 2 tablespoons of dried goji berries, 5 days per week. That's not a lot. It's a small handful. You don't need to eat a bowl of them. You don't need to juice them or buy an expensive extract. The timing matters, and this is where the protocol becomes powerful. I want you to eat them before bed. Here's why. Your retinal repair processes, including rhodopsin regeneration and the incorporation of carotenoids into macular tissue, peak during sleep. This is when blood flow to the retina increases and cellular cleanup accelerates. If you eat goji berries at 9 p.m., the zeaxanthin enters your bloodstream, and by the time you're in deep sleep, it's available for your retina to use. You are literally feeding your night vision while you sleep. The simplest way. Put a small bag of dried goji berries on your nightstand, 2 tablespoons. Eat them about an hour before you turn out the light. They're slightly sweet, slightly chewy. You can eat them straight. If you don't love the texture, toss them into a small bowl of Greek yogurt or cottage cheese. The small amount of fat will actually improve zeaxanthin absorption, since carotenoids are fat-soluble. Do this 5 nights a week, not 7. Give your system 2 days off. This matches the study protocol. What should you expect? This is not a pill. You will not notice a difference on night 1. But here's what the trajectory looks like. At around 3 to 4 weeks, the zeaxanthin levels in your blood will have risen measurably. At around 6 weeks, MPOD, the density of protective pigment in your retina, begins to shift. At 12 weeks, the full effect. That's consistent with every carotenoid intervention study in the literature. The people in the UC Davis trial did not go from blind to eagle-eyed, but their retinal scans showed objective, measurable improvement in macular pigment. And for someone like Harold, someone whose rhodopsin regeneration has slowed to a crawl, that improvement in retinal protection translates to faster dark adaptation. Fewer seconds of blindness after a headlight. The difference between seeing the mailbox and hitting it. If you are over 60 and you still drive at night, or you've stopped driving at night because you don't trust your eyes anymore, or your spouse has started doing the evening driving, this is the lowest cost, highest evidence intervention I can point you to. 2 tablespoons of dried goji berries, 5 nights a week, before bed. Now let me finish Harold's story because I think you'll want to know what happened. Harold came back to see me 4 months later. He had been eating goji berries 5 nights a week. He'd also started taking a zinc supplement, 15 milligrams with dinner, because remember, zinc shuttles vitamin A into the rod cells. He didn't change anything else. Same diet, same poker game, same car, same roads. He told me the first thing he noticed wasn't on the road. It was in his living room. About 6 weeks in, he realized he could see the buttons on his TV remote in low light without turning on the lamp. That was new. Then, around 3 months, he was driving home from his daughter's house at dusk, and he noticed he hadn't been gripping the steering wheel like a vice. His shoulders were relaxed. He could see the shoulder of the road. He could see the reflectors. He could see. His daughter still has the spare set of keys, but Harold drives himself to poker every Tuesday night now. He told me, "Doc, I got my nights back." That is what this is about. This is not about seeing a few more letters on an eye chart. This is about keeping your keys. This is about walking out the door at 7 p.m. and getting in your car and going where you want to go. This is independent science. This is, can I still be the one who drives to church on Christmas Eve science? This is dignity. I'm Dr. David. This is Wellness After 60. If this video helped you, you're going to want to watch the one where I break down the single best drink for lowering blood pressure before bed. Something that works while you sleep and costs about 40 cents a glass. I'll see you there.